Let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. You're fired up about a problem, you're shouting about it, but absolutely nothing seems to change. Well, today, we're diving into a really powerful idea. What if we stopped fighting these vague, shadowy monsters and started focusing on the actual mechanisms that are causing the problem? It's all about trading that feeling of outrage for actual effectiveness.
Okay, Exhibit A. This is a real comment, and honestly, it's perfect. It captures a super common way of thinking that feels smart, feels like an answer. But as we're going to see, it's actually where curiosity goes to die. It's a full stop, not a starting point.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's this huge difference between chanting a slogan from the cheap seats and, grabbing a scalpel to precisely fix what's actually broken. One makes noise, the other makes a difference.
Let's just give this a name, right? Let's call it the zombie reaction. It's what happens when our brain just goes on autopilot. Instead of really digging into a problem, we just grab a pre-packaged answer that fits our team, that fits our identity. It's easy, it's fast, and it accomplishes literally nothing. And here's why that's such a huge problem. Slogans, whether it's the capitalist class or it's the socialists, they all just kind of float way up here in the clouds of theory. They never ever get down to the ground level where the actual gears of a system are turning. And while we're all busy arguing about these big isms, the real-world institutions are just failing day after day.
So enough with the theory, let's make this super concrete. We're going to look at 2 real-world examples to see exactly why the zombie reaction is such a dead end and what a much more powerful approach actually looks like. Okay, so take a failing school in your town. The zombie reaction? Immediately blame a big, vague concept. It's a performance. But the adult response? It asks these sharp, practical questions. Who specifically is in charge of this? When is the next public meeting? What is the exact change we want to see on paper? See the difference? These are questions that actually lead somewhere.
Or how about this? A company announces mass layoffs. The zombie reaction is to just use it as a weapon. See, this proves my side was right all along. The adult response, it says, show me the paperwork. Show me the legally required notices. Give me the names of the directors who voted for this. Where are the actual pressure points? It's about demanding the memo, not just repeating the talking point. So how do we actually do that? How do we train ourselves to have that adult response, to think with that kind of precision? Well, it starts by asking a really simple question. Who benefits when we're all stuck in zombie mode, just yelling at each other? And that's where we meet the distraction class. Now, this isn't some secret club in a dark room. It's just a system of incentives. It's the pundits on TV, the clickbait artists online, the social media algorithms that keep feeding you stuff to make you mad. Their entire business model depends on us staying angry, unfocused, and disorganized. And their game is simple. They really don't care what you're chanting as long as you're chanting. Because while we're all distracted, the real work is getting done in the background. The budget is getting passed, the contract is signed. So think of it this way. Your slogan is the anesthesia that lets them operate without you noticing. But the specifics, that's the scalpel that lets you intervene. Okay, so let's flip this. Let's start building our own toolkit. A civic toolkit that lets us put down the slogan and pick up that scalpel. Let's talk about how to actually be effective.
It really boils down to 4 key things. 1, ask ridiculously specific questions. 2, use the tools that are already out there. 3, get a small focus group together. And 4, put a clock on it. Give yourself a deadline. It's all about being targeted, resourceful, working together, and actually caring about results. And here's the crazy part. Most of these tools are not secret. They're not hidden in some vault. They're things like public records requests, school board meeting agendas, city council minutes. This information is designed to be public. The only thing stopping most of us is just not knowing these tools exist or not having the focus to actually use them.
So, this is where we have to turn the mirror on ourselves for a second. And you gotta ask this question honestly. Are you really thinking through an issue, or are you just being loyal to your brand, to your team? Here's a quick way to find out.
Let's call it the 1-page plan test. For any issue you really care about, could you answer these questions? Can you name the person who makes the decision, a date for a meeting or a deadline, the specific rule or docket number, the one action you want them to take, and how you would measure if it worked? If you can, you're in the game. If you can't, you're still in the stands. Okay, so let's put all of this together into your first mission. Think of this as a little breadcrumb trail to lead you out of the noise and into taking real, concrete action. Just try it. Pick one thing in your community that's broken. Now do the homework. Find the specific rule that's causing the problem. Find the name of the person or the committee that can actually change it. Come up with one single thing they could do in the next 2 months. And finally, decide how you'd know if it worked. If you can do that, you've already left the zombie reaction way behind.
Because when you boil it all down, this is the big idea. The way forward isn't some new, shiny ideology. It's just a different method. It's a commitment to being precise, to tracking the details, and to focusing on what actually gets results. We need way less chanting and a whole lot more changelogs.
And what's so powerful about this is that it completely escapes that tired old left versus right fight. This isn't about what political jersey you're wearing. It's about being effective. It's about a more mature, more demanding, and honestly, a much more rewarding way to be a citizen.
So I'll just leave you with this. The next time you're faced with a problem you care about, what are you going to bring to the table? A slogan that feels good for a second? Or are you going to show up with the receipts, the documents, the names, the plan that can actually make a real, lasting change? The choice is yours.